recognise the signature, but there's an active signal in your area. It's a Titan. You found a Titan. Well done, freelancer. Well done.
Hello and welcome to a slightly different episode of LGR Play. Today I want to give my impressions of the closed demo that ran this past weekend for Anthem, which is of course the hotly anticipated new game from Bioware, who to the studio behind, among others, Mass Effect, Dragon Age and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. So with a couple of exceptions, like Dragon Age 2 and Mass Effect Andromeda, I have loved every Bioware game that I've ever played. But they have up until now tended to stick to single-player narrative RPGs. So for them to come out and make a shared world, live service loot shooter is, depending on your point of view, either a bit of a cash grab, cynical move, or an intriguing prospect. And it could either repair the studio's damaged reputation following the disastrous Mass Effect Andromeda, or could possibly be their undoing. So what did I think of the small section of Anthem that was available to play in this demo? Well, let's get this out of the way. As you will no doubt have seen on the internet, or experienced yourself if you played the demo at all, this was one of the messiest, buggiest demos I think I have ever played. With an increasing prevalence of always online games, we're kind of getting used to day one connectivity issues with released games, let alone betas and demos. But even taking that into consideration, this was a bad first impression. Within seconds of the demo going live, EA servers were at capacity, and their desperate attempts to spin up more to accommodate demand led to issues across other games on the EA network, from Battlefield to FIFA. And it's important to note that this was a closed, so-called VIP demo, open only to people who had pre-ordered the game or had EA access or Origin access. So presumably EA should have had some idea of the number of people who would be having their servers on day one, but you know, the internet is an unpredictable place and server issues were bound to be a problem. What shouldn't have been an issue in the demo though were the litany of other problems. From people being stuck in infinite loading screens, to severe animation bugs, to players being unable to access parts of the game that was supposed to be in the demo that they couldn't access due to a bug that developers couldn't fix more than 48 hours later. With that aside though, what exactly is Anthem? Well, it's a shared world action RPG, much in the vein of Destiny or The Division, although a closer comparison would probably be Warframe, as the core gameplay revolves around third-person combat with an emphasis on locomotion and wildly differing playstyles depending on which exosuit or javelin, as they're called in the game, and what loadout you opt for. I don't know too much about the story beyond the premise, and the demo comprised 3 missions partway through the campaign that concentrated on only one character. But Bioware have pedigree when it comes to writing compelling narratives, so I have faith when it comes to that aspect of the game. Gameplay seems split into 2 sections. So there's the hub world section at Fort Tarsis, which is all carried out in first person, and that's where you get a lot of the dialogue with characters, and it's where you get your missions, and it's where you spec out your javelin before you go out on missions. And then there's the meat and potatoes of the game, which is bombing about the open world in your quasi Iron Man exosuit, completing missions and raining hell down on any and all enemies that you come across. There are 4 types of javelin, corresponding with the traditional roles from, you know, classic RPG, warrior, tank, rogue and mage. Although they all control roughly the same, they fill very different roles and must be used very differently in battles. A personal favourite of mine, and it seems the community at large, is the javelin called the Storm, which is the equivalent of a mage in traditional RPG terms. Very fragile, sort of glass cannon, but can unleash incredibly powerful elemental attacks, and is quite a lot of fun to play. A lot of the combat at the higher difficulties revolves around using the abilities of the different javelins to queue up combinations that deal huge amounts of damage, and it adds a level of tactical awareness and coordination that was there in some of Bioware's other games, but I haven't seen in this sort of shared world shooter before. Mission structure on the evidence provided by the demo seems to revolve a lot around flying to a point, scanning an object and then fighting enemies, something which Destiny used as a standard mission structure a little bit too much in the past, and I hope there is more variety in the final version of Anthem, because that can get real old real fast. Collecting materials out in the open world for use in crafting mods for your javelin and crafting weapons, that adds a little bit of a Monster Hunter vibe, and there's a lot of customization options available for your javelins, which the cynic in me thinks is, perfect for pervasive microtransactions. But as to how deep any of the systems go or what sort of activities the endgame will offer, it's yet to be seen. Overall, despite the limited number of activities available in the demo and the massive technical issues, I'm actually cautiously optimistic about Anthem. The moment-to-moment gameplay out in the world was incredibly fun, and the tactical options available in combat had a good level of team play and coordination. The game's also very pretty, albeit with a few graphical hitches and frame rate issues, even playing on a PS4 Pro and an Xbox One X. Now, there's a lot of questions remaining about Anthem. What will the endgame look like? How long is the campaign? How engaging will the story be? How aggressive will the microtransactions be? All these questions will be answered soon enough, as the full game is set for release on PC, PS4 and Xbox One on February 22nd. So my advice to you, as with any game, is don't pre-order. And if you're interested, wait and see what the reviews say, and then make an informed decision.
Time to waste. We need to get back to the others.
Boy, he sounds alarmed. What's happened? Freelancer!
Anyway, those are my brief impressions of the Anthem demo. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Our video content usually revolves around deeper dives into specific games that we think are good for lapsed gamers, or, just some multiplayer nonsense featuring a number of the Lapsed Gamer Radio team. You can check out the Lapsed Gamer Radio podcast on Podbean, iTunes and Spotify, and you can find us on Twitter @LapsedGamer. You can also drop us an email to lapsedgamerradio@gmail.com, and you can always pop along and find our website at lapsedgamer.com. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode of LGR Play.